Some college football this weekend. We're back, baby. We are back. The time is now. I do want to say, though, Saturday, watching games, I'm like, hey, what do I get for lunch? I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try like a new pizza place around where we live. So I call up this pizza place, and you know it's good when they answer the phone, and it's like an Italian person. They're like, hey, what's up, man? You want some pizza? I was like, let's get it. Best pizza I've had in a while, but it's just something. You were saying that maybe it was a fake accent.
Well, what if he closes up the shop after? He's like, man, what a tough day.
His name's like
carrying
Josh.
that accent all day.
Yeah. Trying to Brian Kelly you?
Yeah, he tried to Brian Kelly me, but with Italian. No, it's different. You know, you call pizza place. I got the barbecue chicken pizza with some wings on the side. It was really good. But there's just something about calling a pizza place and somebody with an Italian accent answers the phone. Like, I don't want to call it and they'd be like, hey, this is Josh. What pizza do you want? Like, calling him, he's like, the energy was like, how's it going? I was like, I'm so excited. Like, it tasted like Sicily.
Yeah.
Like, to me. I've never been to Italy, but I feel like I went for like at least a 6-minute phone call.
You kept hitting things in gold coins.
And he didn't try and talk you out of getting the barbecue chicken?
No. He was a lot of
they don't eat that in Sicily.
I bet he loved that.
Well, it sounded like they were in a hurry. Like there was like a bunch of stuff going on in the kitchen. He's like, Ma! Like, it
always sounds like
it felt real. It just felt real.
That's good.
Jim Harbaugh will start 2 different quarterbacks. Vanderbilt scored 53 points. Let me repeat that. Vanderbilt scored 63 points, and Matt Moscona joins us to preview LSU versus Florida State. I'm Jay Crane. It's Monday. Getting ready for week 1. Welcome to Crane & Company. Jim Harbaugh has always been a little quirky. He rocks khaki shorts and cleats with no care in the world and has a very interesting way of communicating with just about everybody, including the media. Now, Saturday, he continued that trend after Michigan released a statement saying they had made a decision on their quarterback. That decision was to start last year's signal caller Cade McNamara game 1 against Colorado State, but also that young phenom J.J. McCarthy would start game 2 against Hawaii. So no, Jim, you guys didn't make a decision. You did the opposite. This lack of a decision looks like he's trying to appease both parties instead of just going with the best guy. If JJ's better for the team, then he should start game 1. If Cade's the better option, then name him the starter instead of him having to realize that regardless of how he does in the first game, he isn't going to be the guy behind center in game 2. On one hand, maybe Harbaugh's worried that in the age of the transfer portal, if JJ wasn't named the game 2 starter, he would lose him at some point. If Cade's winning games like he did last season, while simultaneously trying to appease Cade because he helped save Harbaugh's job in 2021. Either way, someone is going to be pissed off because only one guy can play at a time. What if Cade goes out in game 1, throws for 350 yards, 4 touchdowns, has great chemistry with all the skill players, and operates the offense as smoothly as possible? Are you going to take out a guy who's playing fantastic? If he doesn't play well, the decision becomes easier, but all this does is raise the percent chance that Michigan will lack rhythm on offense because of no continuity and also create division in the locker room on who the actual quarterback should be. This is a classic case of trying to have your cake and eat it too. You can't be scared of hurting someone's feelings. This is the highest level of college football, and Michigan's not got another really good roster, but by capitulating to each quarterback, Harbaugh's put his team in a worse position than they should be. There's always a chance something could work, but this does nothing but hurt the opportunity for success for the Wolverines. Now, David, bringing my co-host David Cohn, former Michigan quarterback. I know the minute this hit the press, me and you were talking back and forth. My brother curating the chat. Shout out Booster Club. Got a great show for you today. But Cohn, you know how I feel. I'm not understanding this. I don't think this will work. And it looks soft to me.
Well, I don't know about soft, but it is another example of Coach Harbaugh's eccentricity. And we talk about that a lot. And let's just start at the very top here in the statement. First thing, we're not ready to name a starter, but Cade McNamara will start the opener. That's naming a starter.
That's naming
and before you even hit a period in the sentence, J.J. McCarthy will start the second game. You named 2 starters. You're not ready to name a starter? So, look, here's my thing. A lot of Michigan fans reached out to me over the weekend, and the consensus was, well, maybe J.J. McCarthy's not the best quarterback right now, but he will be, and we don't want him to transfer. If the kid's not the best quarterback right now, and you're only playing him because he might threaten to transfer, then he doesn't need to be playing quarterback at Michigan, okay? And on the flip side of that is if he is playing better, but out of some sort of respect to Cade McNamara because he led us to the playoff, we want to go ahead and allow him to start one final game. That's even more asinine to me. That doesn't make any sense. No 2 players are 100% identical. You've seen them last season, you've gone through a spring practice, and now you've had an entire fall camp. No 2 players are playing at the exact same level. Every single rep, every single pass attempt is documented, and it's on film in camp. You know the completion percentages. You pick one of them to start. And let's just say by chance they are playing at the exact same identical. Then you have a decision to make. You either start the guy with more experience who led you to the playoff last year, who just got named team captain, or you go the other way and you start the guy with more upside, quote unquote upside, and more eligibility left because he's a younger player, right? A case could be made either way. And there's a precedent for this. Jim Harbaugh did this with Alex Smith and with Colin Kaepernick, right? This is the guy who revived Alex Smith's career and who developed Colin Kaepernick and said, you know what, I'm going to take a flyer on Kaepernick and I'm going to start him. Look, you would never see Nick Saban do something like this. And he was put in a tough bind with Tua and Jalen Hurts. You don't think he wanted to start Jalen Hurts that next year when Jalen came back? He realized that he had more upside with Tua Tagovailoa. He started that quarterback. So, to me, you're doing a disservice to everyone in the locker room when you don't start the best player.
Yeah, well, and Blaine, the way I'm looking at it again, I've never heard of this. I've never heard of naming a game 2 starter after having a different game 1 starter. I don't understand why you don't just say, all right, Cade's going to go game 1. You play good, you're going to keep playing. You don't play good, we're going to put JJ in there. That's why I feel like this has more to do with JJ McCarthy than it does with Cade McNamara. I think Harbaugh legitimately was like, if I don't say that JJ McCarthy is going to get a shot or start a game against a Hawaii team that we know isn't very good compared to really, Colorado State, this seems like he is again trying to appease JJ McCarthy. There's a reason that Cade McNamara is starting game 1. Game 1, that is your starter. That's the first guy you're going to trot out there. But how in practice, if I'm Cade McNamara, or if I'm a starting receiver at Michigan, I'm a starting offensive lineman, I really don't know if that's the guy the whole week of practice that's coming in there with the ones. Is this the dude when we go out and kick it off, even though he played last year? It's a different team than it was last year. Some guys return, but it's still a different team. I'm with you, Cone. To me, this creates more problems than it solves.
Well, to your point about telling J.J. McCarthy that he's going to start so he doesn't transfer, why not just tell him then? Why tell us? Why not just keep it inside the locker? I mean, to me, here's what you say. Look, Cade McNamara is going to take the first snap of our opening season game. J.J. McCarthy is going to play a high volume of snaps. I'm going to evaluate those performances, and we'll make a decision week 3.
I mean, you see it with a lot of teams, different packages of quarterbacks, right?
Yeah, so
that's what you see. I mean, it's so funny to me because Michigan's already having drama before the even season started. I'll give it to Jim Harbaugh. He does a good job staying in the national spotlight.
He does.
For stuff that you wouldn't even believe, and especially with a school like Michigan with the tradition behind it. But you can't make everybody happy. You're a head coach of a football team. It's not your job to make everybody happy. You go through spring, you go through summer, you go through all this. And he's the quarterback guru, right?
Yep.
That's why he's at Michigan. I mean, hell, haven't put a quarterback in the league yet, but he's supposed to be the quarterback guy. At the end of the day, the final decision comes down to you. You're the guy they look to. The players, the assistant coaches, the fans, it comes down to you. And when they see you trying to make everybody happy, because there is no way you go through spring and everything and everybody's 100% equal. There's no way. I've never seen it unless this is the first time in the history of football that this happens. You know deep down Jim Harbaugh in his head knows who should start on that football team. But he's trying to sell ice cream right now and make everybody happy because you're probably right. He's scared of that kid getting in the transfer portal. That's what he's got to be scared of. But at the end of the day, the best player has to play. And you can get into the section of this causing to start rifts and a locker room.
That's what I was saying.
It's at the quarterback position. No position matters more than the quarterback position. The leader, the Achilles, the guy you're behind going into the game on a Saturday. Big games coming soon. But But no, we're going to have two separate guys.
Yeah.
Start two separate weeks just to see. So to me, it's confusing. Doesn't make sense.
Who's starting if you play Ohio? If you opened with Ohio, who are you starting? That's the question right there, because a lot of people were reaching out to me this weekend and saying, you know what, this is an example of how weak Michigan's non-conference schedule is. And I said, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Like, if you were playing Ohio week 1 or week 2, who's going to be the starting quarterback? And whatever that answer is, that's who needs to be the starter. And not only is there precedent in Jim Harbaugh's career, when I was talking about Alex Smith and Colin Kaepernick, there's precedent at Michigan. You remember an upper-class quarterback they had by the name of Tom Brady, right, who ran a 5.4 40, right? And the number 1 overall recruit, going to be the greatest quarterback who ever lived, Drew Henson, came in. And there was pressure on Lloyd Carr to start Drew Henson. No matter who was best, no matter who was playing best in camp, there was a pressure on him because he was a Michigan guy and he was the number 1 overall recruit. Well, one of those quarterbacks did end up going up to be the best that ever played.
That's true. That's old Tomas Brady. But Blaine, I'm with you on the division in the locker room thing, because that can really happen, especially if it starts going rocky and there's no continuity and there's no back and forth. The red zone packages, I get it, what they did with J.J. McCarthy last year, using his athleticism, but
it worked.
It did work.
Like,
it did work. But this is why I say,
will they do it this year? That's my question. Is this a situation, because there was no information in here, is this a situation where Cade starts game 1, but JJ doesn't play at all the first game because he's going to start
that's
game
another
2?
question.
That's my question. Because you showed it could work last year.
Yeah, it's how are you going to rotate him? But I will say, some people don't like playing a good team out of the gate week 1 or weeks 1 and 2. I love it because at least you know. For example, like looking at Auburn, you play Mercer and a salty San Jose State team. You're not going to know until Penn State. But LSU, you're playing Florida State. Is Florida State the greatest ever? No, but you see the team speed they have. You'll know at least a little bit. I would much rather know coming out of week 1 or week 2 than watching the film and be like, man, I think, wow, we beat Mercer by 35 points, but do I really know how we're going to play against Penn State? But Blaine, what's the Booster Club saying?
That's an interesting point.
I would rather know.
I like that.
I mean, that can go two ways. But Sammy Way, #AskKranica, is there a possibility that Jim Harbaugh can get fired if he underperforms this year? If so, what's the percentage?
No. He's not.
They're tied to him, man. Yep. They've gone all in.
And that's why when you go cheating on National Signing Day and go talking to the other girl and then get caught, he still was able to use that leverage and be fine. But no, Harbaugh's there's no shot in hell he gets fired this year unless something off the field crazy.
Think about it. Before this past season, he hadn't beaten Ohio once, had a losing record against Michigan State, hadn't even appeared in the Big Ten championship, much less won it, and didn't make the playoff. And even then, they weren't going to.
You know what's crazy to me? Like, I'm especially now that they beat Ohio State, I'm starting to get some real Gus Malzahn vibes from Jim Harbaugh, where if he beats Ohio State a couple times but can't beat Michigan State, but does a good job really outside of that, that's what Gus Malzahn did. He beat Alabama a couple times. Couldn't beat Georgia. I think they were 2-7. I think he lost his last 5 or 6 against Georgia. That's basically also Michigan State. That's your other big rival outside of Ohio State. So I'm starting to get
So Malzahn led Auburn to the national title in
2013.
13, and then what happened after that?
Just a bunch of mid.
But what, like losing records?
No, not losing records. You'd win 8, 9 a year. You had the year where you went to the SEC championship game with Kerryon Johnson and them in 2017, I believe. With a chance to make the playoff, and you blew that. But now it's just really just a bunch of just good job.
So at least Jim Harbaugh is winning pretty much 10 games a season. I mean, take the COVID year out of it and call that an outlier if you want. To put it in a little bit of context, though, you have to think. Now, Brady Hoke did have a 3-year stint in between that.
Yep.
But you have to think about what Rich Rodriguez did to that program. Like, it just completely upended things. And you have a Michigan athletic department who's saying, wow, we are a blue blood college football program who didn't realize we had a floor.
Yeah.
We thought 35-year bowl streak, something like that, never losing season. We didn't think it could happen at Michigan. Then we hire Rich Rodriguez, and all of a sudden we only win 3 games.
Yeah.
Then we win 5 games. Don't go to bowl games back-to-back season. Wow, do we really want to take a chance on getting rid of a guy who's not beating his rivals and who's not winning championships, but who's winning 9 or 10 games a year on the chance that we could have that happen again?
For sure. Let's go one more of the Booster Club.
$1 donation, Drew Stein, $1.99 donation.
Drew,
oh, you know what that
button,
gets.
Coney.
Hit it. Oh, yeah.
The guy says Michigan has 2 great quarterbacks. Let them play.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, again, are we saying that you have to have some sort of merit-based system? I don't know how in the hell, if Cade McNamara goes out in game 1 against Colorado State and balls, has a really good, efficient game, Michigan looks good, nice team win, you can ever look at another player and say, you know what? How you do in the game is going to dictate how much you play. Because at that point, it just doesn't matter. It's participation trophies, man. I would understand if you said, you know what? We're going to rotate the first couple series, and then we're going to see. Game 1 starter is going to be Cade McNamara, but I tell you what, JJ's coming in second series. We've seen that. We've seen that before. But go ahead and saying that he's going to play that next game, to me, and I don't think Cade will let it affect him that much because he has experience. But in the back of your head now, if you're Cade McNamara, what happens if you go out there the first drive and make a couple bad throws? You're looking over your shoulder now like, wow, they're going to the bullpen already. What's going to not make them speed it up? To me, I understand being eccentric, okay? I understand that Jim Harbaugh is different. But being eccentric and different doesn't make this smarter. That sure. Doesn't add any relevance to it. And again, you are causing more problems than you are solving. And you know what? If JJ's better, because you know what you got with Cade McNamara. I don't think Cade McNamara is coming out and going to look like Lamar Jackson this year. But if JJ's that dude and he's got that dog in him like that, then start him.
Unleash him.
Then start him.
And you know Cade McNamara, who just got named team captain, ain't going anywhere.
No,
he's not going to transfer.
So.
Not this season. Yeah. Not in the middle of the season.
No,
maybe he goes and plays somewhere else. He's not going to be named Michigan captain and transfer in the middle of the season. So if the other guy, if J.J. McCarthy really has that upside, unleash him. Now you have a phenomenal backup, right? And you know what you're going to get. And last year when they rotated quarterbacks, it actually worked, and you rarely see it work. It worked because the two guys were different. Yeah. J.J. McCarthy brought a different skill set. Now, they ran too much when he came in. I think they needed to utilize him in the passing game. But here's my thing. If you start J.J. McCarthy, you're not going to rotate Cade McNamara in, right? No. Because you're saying J.J. can do everything that Cade can. So unleash him then.
Yes, and again, the players know. Here's the thing. The players know, and the coaches know the players know. So if J.J. is better, and it's by like a decent amount, regardless of some of the reports you hear coming out of fall camp, then on the other hand, Harbaugh can't say the best player plays. You can lose a lot of credibility really quickly after you gained a lot last year. I just think it's dangerous. But speaking about dangerous, fire's dangerous. What else is dangerous? Rapid fire is even more dangerous.
Rapid fire. All right, let's stay on the quarterback situation. Jimbo Fisher named Haynes King the starter at Texas A&M. Look, I've said I'm big on Max Johnson and the abilities he brings, but Billy Lucci told us this was going to happen.
No, he did, and here's my thing on Haynes King. I hope Haynes goes out there and balls. On social media, I said I still think Max Johnson's going to eventually be the guy. There's two questions I have about Haynes King. Can he stay healthy? And you say, all right, it's one injury. Okay, it's 1 year. You know, you basically 1 for 1. Then number 2, how much have you developed as a thrower in that small sample size that we've seen? Again, I know Haynes King can fly. I get it. Dude runs 4.45. But I have to see him operate consistently within an offense, going through reads, going through combinations, knowing how to make the checks, and not just relying on taking off if the first read's not there. That's not going to work for A&M in the long run, but him being able to extend plays outside the pocket, then take off, or extend plays outside the pocket and find somebody down the field, I think will help A&M with more explosive plays because he is a more explosive player than Max Johnson. And what's been the knock on A&M's offense? They can't really hit the home run. They're more methodical. He gives you that ability, and when you play the Bamas and teams like that, having a quarterback that can run a dual threat guy is one of the few ways which you can actually beat him. You got to be able to have a stalemate up front and have a witch at quarterback that can extend the play or just pick you apart from the underneath. So I do think, I will continue to say this, that Max Johnson, by the end of the year, will be the starting quarterback for Texas.
Gotcha.
I wouldn't be surprised if you saw Max get reps early, right?
That's what I was saying.
It comes back to the Michigan thing. Like, I know, first of all, trust in Jimbo. Jimbo's always been a great quarterback coach his entire career coaching. But I would not be surprised to see Max Johnson get a good amount of snaps early, maybe even week 1. I think about the offensive line. When you think of Haynes King, runner, pretty decent thrower, but he can absolutely evade in the pocket, great anticipation, but he's a runner. So how good will the offensive line be? But you know you have a steady arm in Max Johnson, right? Haynes, home run hitter for sure. But Max will hit you the singles. He'll hit the underneath stuff. He'll go through the right reads. He usually won't get you beat. Maybe not win you the games you're not supposed to win because he's not that. He can't hit the home run as much as Haynes did. I trust in Jimbo Fisher.
Home run? Like
on his feet or through
on his feet. Like, I hit the home run. What Jimbo wants to play. That's why Jimbo named this kid Haynes King the starter. Jimbo wants to be able to hit a home run because Texas A&M hasn't been able to do what lately?
Yeah, that's
hit the home run and win you the games that you're not supposed to win. I know Zach Calzada closed his eyes for 4 quarters and somehow beat Bama, but that was more about the defense than Zach Calzada. So I'll trust in Jimbo Fisher. I know we haven't seen much from Haynes King, but I put my trust in what? The quarterback guru, which is Jimbo Fisher.
Yeah, I do too. But the best quarterback that he had, or at least the most accomplished, was Jameis Winston, who didn't use his feet at all. So
Jameis can run, absolutely.
He can run, as in he can run from here to there.
You see that running at the national championship?
He's not Haynes King.
Well, yeah,
what my point is, Jimbo Fisher has proven that he can win a national championship with a pocket passing quarterback, which Max Johnson is more of. But like we said, Billy Lucci had called this. I mean, right there, the insider in Texas A&M camp. But I said the same thing Blaine said. I'll be interested to see how early they get Max Johnson involved. And I got a lot of pushback from Texas A&M fans saying that's not Jimbo's style. And they're right. But also, Max Johnson didn't leave Louisiana State to go to Texas A&M to not play. So I feel like he's going to get.
Yeah, there's maybe some member berries about halfway through the year when Max Johnson's the starter. I caught a little help from Texas A&M too about it. But again, look, I'm not going to come up here and tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what I think you need to hear. And like I said, I hope Haynes King balls. I hope he goes out there and he balls, but he's got to stay healthy, and we got to see how developed he is as a passer. We're going to know after Miami. We'll know. Not saying Miami's the top 5 team in the country. I don't think they are. But we'll have a better idea.
Yeah.
Sam Houston State, a little emotional, get a little weird. I don't think we'll know.
Let's go to the NFL. You're talking about hitting home runs. Tua and the Dolphins went deep on the very first pass to Tyreek Hill, and we have a clip of it.
Yeah, we have the clip. Again, a lot in the offseason, right? Tua doesn't have the arm strength, can't throw the deep ball. So what did the Dolphins do? We're coming out, launching it first play. Sending a message. Let's go ahead and run the clip, and I'm gonna ask Conan Blaine to grade this throw.
Of the season, to a little play action, and he's looking deep for Tyreek Hill. He's open, and he's got it. The cheetah is loose in South Florida.
All right, number one, Tyreek Hill can absolutely put on the skates of Christy Yamaguchi. I mean, that dude is flying. Second off, Tua did underthrow it. He underthrew it, and he threw it inside. But Tyreek Hill, see, that's the type of stuff that Wandale Robinson did last year for Will Levis. I thought that made him look really good. Making okay throws look good enough. Wasn't a great throw, but I do like that the Dolphins are trying to stretch it down the field. You're putting that stuff on tape. We know that Tyreek Hill, everybody's worried about him vertically, and they should be. You should be worried about him vertically. You should be worried about him horizontally. Hell, you should be definitely worried about him diagonally. So I thought it was just nice to see. I think two of them is going to have a good year. Drafted Jalen Waddle last night.
So I didn't think you were that big on Tua, though.
Well, I don't think, again, I'm not. I don't think Tua is a top 12, probably top 15 quarterback, in my opinion. Maybe right at 15. He's going to intermediate you. He's going to nickel and dime you. He's got to be able to stay healthy. I mean, the dude's been Mr. Potato Head. You touch him, and his just leg falls off. So he's put together, him and Chet Holmgren are put together with the same Laffy Taffy. But he's got to be able to make it through the whole season. Having the weapons he has now, you don't have to just throw the 9 route the whole time, because Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, shoot, they can take a slant and run from Florida to Argentina in an hour and a half.
I'm such a big fan of Tua, and I refuse to give up on his NFL career.
I'm not giving up on him.
But here's my thing. If you come out first play to send a message, like we're going to go deep first play because we want to send a message that this is what you're going to get all season, and then it's underthrown, like the message doesn't hit the same, Blaine.
It's just, look, man, I thought about this, and you knew. First of all, wrong read. Complete, you go back.
Is Tyreek ever the wrong read?
Safety was there. It's not. They knew they were doing this. It didn't matter if they came out and previewed.
No, this play was getting.
If they came out and previewed,
this pass was getting thrown the minute they got off the bus.
Run it again.
He didn't even look. Safety's in the middle field.
And the corner stays with him, too. Watch the corner.
Yeah, boom. Not the right read, just throw it. That's what he did. Just threw it. Underthrew it.
He still beat him.
Look, if you're trying to send a message that maybe your JV quarterback can throw it deep, I'm okay with it. But if we're meeting before the game, it's like, hey guys, we got to prove that our quarterback in the NFL can throw a deep pass. You already lost.
Hey, but he's tough.
He's a tough kid.
He's a tough
Don't
kid.
Do that.
It's just I don't know. The Dolphins will be fine, but
he's tougher than a $2 steak.
Look, Tua's he's got to stay healthy. He's I would say elite short to medium thrower of the ball, but the deep ball, man, like I don't really know how much he'll need it. Well, Tyreek will need it, but Gesicki, Tree.
He's a second baseman.
Waddle.
Second baseman.
Hey, how about this? If you're the Dolphins and you're thinking, man, finally Bill Belichick and the Patriots are not elite. Man, maybe we can win this division. And now look what the Bills are doing.
Yeah, exactly. Josh Allen's like, "What's up, guys?
Yeah,
how's it going? It's cold, but it doesn't matter."
He's like, let me show you a deep ball.
Yeah. So let me close my eyes and throw it 120 yards.
Speaking about the Bills, release punter Matt Eraza this weekend due to some sexual assault, maybe even rape allegations. General Manager Brandon Beane said some things are bigger than football. I'm not going to jump to any conclusions before we get all the information, but it sounds like he needs to go take care of this civil suit before he concentrates on football.
For sure. If you look at the allegations, I mean, they're pretty disturbing. So, I mean, I understand this. You have got to get this handled because this isn't a minor thing or this isn't something that is just going to go away by itself. And again, until all the information's out there, I'm not going to opine on it. We'll see, but it's something he definitely needs to get handled. And, I think it was a smart move by the Bills.
Was it out of San Diego State? Was this the allegation when he was in college?
Yeah, I believe it stems back from college.
I'm going to look and see if Brady Hoke put
not a ton of information out right now outside of just surface level stuff.
Let's go to Major League Baseball then.
Yeah.
Julio Rodriguez and the Mariners agreed to a contract extension. Get this, $209 million for 12 years, but it could be $469 million over 17 years if he wins 2 MVPs.
Are we believing in this guy like that?
Mariners are.
I mean,
the Mariners do, yeah.
66, 21 home runs.
Young, isn't he?
I know he's young, but they're selling the farm in this one.
He put on a show in the Home Run Derby.
Yeah, I know he did, but the Home Run Derby, it's a Home Run Derby is an individualized thing. I do like where the Mariners are at. I understand this is their guy, and they want to take care of him and set a precedent. He talks about loving playing in the city up there in Seattle. He can afford gas now, that's for sure. But, you got to take your shot on your superstar. That's what they're doing. They're going all in, and, I mean, his upside is through the roof. He's a guy, center fielder that is rangy. You can see he's not a guy off the field that you worry about. So good for the Mariners, and good that they're taking him seriously.
Remember, they was it the Mariners? When did Alex Rodriguez get the $250 for... Was it 10 years? Was that with the Rangers or when he was still with the Rangers?
To go back, I believe it was with the Rangers. I think
either way, neither one won a World Series with him. It wasn't until he went to New York. Yeah. So I don't know. I want the Mariners to be good. I want the Mariners to be good.
Too, to be honest. I mean, Logan Gilbert, it's like they were doing extremely well this season too. Ty France kind of fell apart, but at least they found wifey. So they found wifey, brought her a nice ring, and she's going to be there for at least a little while.
Yeah, that's their Acuna.
Yeah. All right, let's stay in Major League Baseball. Justin Verlander left the game with a calf injury the other day. I think he's maybe getting MRI or something.
Yeah, I think he's going to be fine. Like Dusty Baker said, I'm just glad it's not his arm.
Is that what he said?
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
He's like, I was worried.
So true.
He's like, I was worried. I thought it was going to be some of his arm, and then it weren't.
Man,
like, all right, so he's good?
I swear, baseball coaches are low-key some of the funniest people.
Dude, they're the funniest of all time. But, I mean, Justin, the way he's been pitching, I mean, he's had an unbelievable year, being able to kind of bounce back, too, from the injury he had a couple years ago. You got to make sure you take care of guys, especially this late. The Astros are in a good position. They're up in the division, playing well. So just got to take care of them. Like Dusty Baker said, it's not his arm. We'll go there. Look, treat him like Spike off Little Giants, just like his dad rubbed his calves with evaporated milk.
Look,
and it worked. Spike,
go get your MRI. Go home to Kate. Like, he's going to be all right.
Oh, yeah. Justin Verlander will be all right. Let Kate, whisper sweet nothings. Tell her I said what's up. And, no, what's next, Cone?
Rory McIlroy surged from 6 strokes back to win his 3rd FedEx Cup championship, just like a superstar should, Jake.
Yeah, well, it's funny. You remember how him and Tiger were like, we ought to get everybody, all the elite players to play against each other. Did you see his post-tournament quote? He's like, just a bunch of elite players playing against each other on an elite tour of eliteness. Like, dude, just gas.
Is that a quote?
Yeah, but that's actually a quote.
Literally, I remember. So Scott Scheffler had like a 6-shot lead that he lost through the first 7 holes. Yeah. He's forgot. He's like me. After I come out and play the first hole good. It's not good after
Wait, you play the first hole good?
Oh, dude, I'm telling you.
I don't know why Rory's like this, though. Like, if Rory has a lead, he's going to lose it. Like, on a Sunday,
he's a trailer, man.
He's going to lose it. But if he's coming from behind, it's like, he doesn't forget. He remembers everything. I believe, first of all, putted better than anybody.
That 30-footer he drilled was nice.
Putted better than anybody. And it's just, I don't get it with Rory. Just the pressure up top when he's winning, I guess he falls apart. But when he has no pressure on him, he starts balling. And I watched the entire Sunday tournament, and it was just, man, he was on another I mean, Scotty did forget.
He did forget.
And you don't usually see that from Scotty.
No.
Scotty's won.
And he's already won big ones.
He's won so much.
He was
money.
having the best year.
Oh God, he's won so much money this year. It's ridiculous. But that's
it was a pretty thrilling finish at a time when the PGA Tour needed a pretty
All right, last one for rapid fire. Just if you were wondering if the Braves really have what it takes to go all the way and win the World Series, just look at what our mascot is out here doing.
Oh yeah,
this okay?
I love
Blooper out here stiff arming.
Oh, I thought this was Derrick Henry's high school highlight film.
Wait, they're different?
Yeah, I thought this was. Let's go ahead and play the clip. Listen, we need to teach children to set a physical tone from the beginning. Let's watch Bloopy here. Look, we're trying to win the World Series.
Get off
all right?
me.
There's no prisoner.
Get off me. Get off me.
No excuses. Play like a champion.
I love it.
I do too.
I love it. NCAA 14 mascot games.
Set the tone.
I love it.
You're teaching toughness. The kids understand.
Do we really know those are kids? Are they really kids?
I don't know.
I didn't know that. They got helmets on. Some look a little bit too stocky. I saw a kid right now in the Little League World Series play for Mexico. Looks like he's 36.
Yeah, he's definitely.
He has a full beard.
The object is a score to cross the goal line.
Yeah,
Blooper's taking that seriously.
That is. I'm just really excited that the Braves are taking this mindset, even though they totally blew it last night with the bullpen after the Mets. Yeah, you're 2.5 games back, guys. Let's win that one. Get 2 games back. But I will say, Braves get a nice little 3-game series with the Rockies. Come on to town. And guess who the Mets got? The Dodgers. Braves will be tied for first in the NL East after this next 3-game set.
I did a little deep dive on the schedules for the rest of the year after they play the Dodgers.
Yes.
Cake fest for the Mets. Cake.
I don't know. The Braves got a nice little 12, 15 game stretch. You got the Nationals, who, by the way, were on a 43-game. Patrick Corbin finally won his start.
I saw that.
They went 43 straight games without the starter getting a win.
Ugh.
That's not good. Unless you're just doing like the thing the Rays were doing where it's like 2 innings, 3 innings, 2 innings, 2 innings. Like, we don't have starters. We just have pitchers. I was like, oh, yeah, cool. Who's the first person to throw a pitch? That's the starter. You sound like Jim Harbaugh.
That's way to bring that full circle.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well done, man.
Speaking about full circle, Blaine, what's the Club of Boosters saying?
$5 donation, Hunter Fournette.
Wow.
Hunter, what's Leonard's brother?
Maybe. Can y'all bring Moscona and the BKA hater on the show and sit back and watch Scone demolish?
Oh, no, believe me.
Asking for a friend.
Look, I will say I did ask Brian Driscoll if he wanted to come on and live debate Matt Moscona, but he wasn't able to. We appreciate Brian coming on. And look, I'm going to bring Matt on here. I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys the first question. I'm going to look at him and say, look, Brian Driscoll was throwing more shade at LSU than a lamp store in Baton Rouge. So what are your thoughts, Brian Kelly? You know, is it a little bit sour grapes here, a little peanut butter and jelly? I don't know. Like I said, I think Brian Kelly and LSU wins the national championship in the next 5 years. I disagreed with the point. I was confused on how you could say that Brian Kelly didn't recruit at the level that Marcus Freeman had and didn't really have the players to do it, yet also just lost because he wasn't prepared for big games. I don't think Brian Kelly could have the success he had and be bad at those two things.
Yeah, no, I think you make a great point there. But shout out to Brian Driscoll for coming on here.
No, look, that's what I'm saying.
You know, there's nothing more boring than just a politically correct
answer. We don't want that on our show. I don't want you to come over here and be like, well, you know, again, like Blaine says, if you want to make everybody happy, sell ice cream and cookies.
All right, Cody Nason, 95, hashtag Ask Crane & Co. How well does Cade have to play to change their approach and start him again?
That's my question. You can't
apparently
now.
None.
That's the problem.
You know, who's playing Hawaii week 2. He's like, yes.
No, that's the problem.
I know.
What legitimately though? What happens? And Hawaii, we saw Hawaii. We'll talk about that in a second. What happens if Cade goes out there and balls in game 1 and y'all murder Colorado State, and then the next game against Hawaii, JJ McCarthy plays terrible, and it's close for 3 quarters? But like, how stupid do you look? Like what? It's not going to happen.
I was going to say, Vandy just dropped 63 on Hawaii.
I know, but I'm saying just for the principle of it. Like, I'm not understanding the mechanics of this. In the comments, do you like this?
Look, what if Cade McNamara goes into Coach Harbaugh's office? He's like, he had just watched Vanderbilt put 63 up on Hawaii. He's like, Coach, listen. If we're able to choose which game,
let
JJ go first.
Can I get game
let
two?
JJ go first.
He needs to run out through the tunnel first of the year. I know what that's like.
I'll go second.
Yeah,
we'll go
come in week 2. My arm will feel a lot better.
It's an emotional time.
This sun will be in the right place for me. Like it's a real thing.
It is a real thing.
All right, Chase Orvin, he said, thoughts on the Vandy game and 90% of college football fans being wrong and taking Hawaii over Vandy. I did not do that. I took the spread, which definitely did not hit.
Yeah.
I didn't take them.
Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and get into it. You want to get into best and worst?
Let's do it. Best and worst
get
from
into
the
best.
weekend. Who wants to start?
I'll start. I'll start. We'll start with best. So every Monday we're going to do a best and worst from the weekend. Obviously, when the NFL gets here, we can do with that too. That's where we pick our best and worst. One thing from the weekend. Yep. My best. Let's go ahead and start with Vandy, guys. I don't get it, and I'm not gonna get a lot of chances to come on here and brag about Vanderbilt. So you give me the opportunity, I am putting on my track shoes and running with it, my friends. Vanderbilt came out, going to Hawaii. Not an easy place to play. Now, Hawaii did have 51 new players as Timmy Chang took over. The offense wasn't nearly as run and shoot as what I thought it was going to be. You saw Hawaii with a tight end, which is
really I love to see it.
Weird to see. I'll say this about Vanderbilt. They come out, get hit in the teeth. Hawaii takes it down and scores. They really dominate the game the rest of the way. Mike Wright, and you can think whatever you want about Colin Kaepernick off the field. Lord knows I do. But Mike Wright runs a lot like Colin Kaepernick. Watch, long, rangy. He is able to eat up a lot of yards per step. He's a long strider, but he also has unbelievable straight line speed. Not a terrible thrower, good enough to keep you off balance. Is Vandy super talented? No, but Clark Lee being able to take that team, and they said before the game, that Clark Lee and them wanted a confrontational mindset, which you don't hear that a lot with Vanderbilt. Not saying that Vandy's soft or anything like that, but it's more, kind of, we're just going to do our job, and everybody's just going to be very, vanilla about this, and everybody's going to just make the smart play. Vandy had a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. They had a little bit of edge. They were talking after plays. You saw some kind of some chippiness going toward the sideline, which I'd love to see it. So I think Clark Lee may have a little bit more edge in him than what we think. Does Vandy cover the 2.5 win total on the season? We're going to see. Hawaii is not very good, but they went up there and took care of business. And damn it, Cone, when I get a chance to brag on Vandy, I'm going to do it.
Anchor down. Can I get an anchor down from you?
Anchor down.
There you go. Talking about Mike Wright looking like Kaepernick, man. He reminded me of Denard Robinson sometimes.
Little shoelace.
Did they beat Mizzou?
Huh?
Did they beat Missouri?
I got to see Missouri.
I don't know.
I got to see.
But they can win 3. Now they have that one in the bag. They have 2 other non-conference games that they could cover that 2.5 without winning an
I'm saying conference game, Dave. Do they win a conference game this year?
I got no.
No.
Still no.
No, because I'll tell you, if you're not going to have the best players, you need to be the most disciplined. And they still had a lot of undisciplined moments. They had holding penalties, false start penalties, especially on those first couple drives. Trust me, I was paying attention because I had the over in the first quarter, which they hit. Thank you.
With like 40 seconds.
40 seconds, and then get a fumble, and they score 14 in the first quarter.
Yeah.
But congratulations to Vandy. I do think they will hit that 2.5 win total over.
I hope they do.
Yeah.
What's your best?
Oh, me now? Oh, I want to go UConn. I mean, we're talking about bad teams from last year who are shining.
This.
Our boy Jim Moore, who came on this show, that guy can coach football now. UConn won 1 game last season, and I covered a lot of bets last year betting against UConn. Not anymore. And I missed this first one. Remember I called you guys the other day and I said, I'm thinking about taking UConn plus, there was an alternate line spread that was like plus 34.5. I'm like, surely Jim Mora plus 34.5 points. Like, I can cover that. I went the other direction and took Utah State because they won their conference last year, and you just don't know what you're going to get from UConn. All of a sudden, they're up 14-0. I'm telling you, watch out for UConn. Maybe not even this year in terms of like actually, having a winning season, but Jim Moore is going to get that program in the right spot.
They were so bad last year, seeing them being competitive, coming out, getting that 14-0 lead. And I tweeted halfway through the game, I was like, regardless if UConn wins this, you got to take your hats off to Coach Mora. It was so sad to see a program that we've seen have success with Randy Edsall at UConn. You can win there. We know about the basketball program. I know with Ollie, it got a little hairy, after Jim Calhoun. But watching them be competitive was really good to see because last year they were terrible. I mean, they were the Bishop Sycamore of Division I.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Pat Fitzgerald, the Northwestern Wildcats.
Yeah.
Woo! Who would have thought that I'd come on the show today and say the Northwestern had over 500 total yards of offense?
Wow.
Northwestern. God, Scott Frost, what happened? Holinsky looked great.
Well, he had all day. I'm about to get to that.
Came out, I think, completed the first 10 passes. Just boom, boom, boom. The running game looked great. And I don't think, and this is just a kudos to Patty Fitz, man, but I don't think I've ever watched a Northwestern game that they could be getting beat by 50, by 40, that those kids just don't give up, man.
No,
those kids, They're not the most athletic, not the best-looking kids. They're not going to walk you and scare you off the bus. I promise you that. But those kids kept fighting and fighting. And Nebraska's a better – I know they won the game, but I thought Nebraska had better personnel than –
they had way better personnel.
Way better personnel than – but there's something about Northwestern. There's no quit in them. Pat Fitzgerald's imprint is all over that team, man, and you can see it. And congrats to Northwestern Wildcats for sure.
Yeah, and that brings me to my worst. It's Nebraska. I'm going to get to them in a second, but I do want to compliment Northwestern first. The most athletic, and this is going to sound crazy, the most athletic part of Northwestern's team is their offensive line. Those big guys can move and change direction so well. They've got a preseason All-American tackle. Their guards, whether it was pulling on counter one time, you had a guard work back. He got some flow to the backside, which was his guy. His guy that should have been front side went backside. He picked him up, watching them move and the timing. They gave Helinski so much time. And if you look, a lot of the passes Helinski hit were intermediate. They were checkdowns to the running backs. But Northwestern has to stay on schedule to be able to be effective and score points like that. They're not a team that is going to hit a ton of explosive plays. I like Hull in the backfield. I like Porter in the backfield. I know he had that big fumble. Out wide, they don't have a ton of talent. They don't have a tight end that's just going to destroy you, and Helinski really can't run. So they've got to get in 2nd and 5. They've got to get in 3rd and 3. And the run game late was huge. But I will say this. I'll say this about Northwestern. I thought when it mattered the most in the second half, they controlled the line of scrimmage. When they had to line up and continue to eat clock on a drive, or they had to convert a short 3rd down, and Pat Fitzgerald having the guts to QB sneak it on that 4th down, changed the game. One call is not going to win or lose you the game, and I'm sure we'll talk about the onside kick call for Scott Frost, but I do want to compliment Northwestern on giving him time and then giving it to our playmakers. But Nebraska, you guys lay another egg in the 4th quarter, and all we've heard about, O'Shawn Mathis coming over from TCU is going to give you some pass rush. It wasn't only that you couldn't get a pass rush. Okay, that was bad that he was sitting back there all day. I was shocked. But you made no adjustments on defense. None. You started in zone coverage. You basically stayed in zone coverage. You didn't really bring anything exotic from a blitz standpoint. You didn't say, you know what? If we're not getting there, let's go press them and bring the juice and make Helinski beat us. Make him make the plays to beat us. Because the quarterbacks were great in the first half.
Yep.
Why did they look somewhat average in the second half? Because they played out of their minds in the first half and they had all day. But the lack of adjustments from Nebraska, the lack of ability to see that the tight end is murdering number 32 in a passing matchup. Every time they went to Volskanowski or Volskaberger or Volskanophovich, whatever his name was, he was destroying poor number 32 from Northwestern. He couldn't cover him in the passing game. But if you don't make adjustments, you don't deserve to win. And Nebraska didn't lose that game because of an onside kick call. Was it smart? No. Would I have done it? No. But that play didn't lose you the game. You lost the game because you had no pass rush and you didn't adjust. And if you don't do that, you don't deserve to win. And that's to Coach Shenander and all those guys. I know they're good guys, but I was shocked that Nebraska didn't adjust. You went to another country to lose a game you should have won against an inferior team because you didn't adjust.
Man, Nebraska's first drive was executed so perfectly. I was starting to believe.
Brett McMurphy was like, hey, look, this is why I put in my top 25.
I know.
Ha, 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 ha. Then all of a sudden, that's why you don't celebrate.
We bring Casey Thompson over and Mark Whipple. I mean, you could see everything that they wanted to do on offense. It looked like they were going to be able to do. Now, I was still thinking, all right, y'all need to be able to run between the tackles a little bit better than you are right now. Every time they tried to run between the tackles was a no yardage situation, but they were spacing the offense. They were having success through the air. I'm like, man, Mark Whipple coming over here is really changing a lot of things. And for Scott Frost at the end of that game, when they lost and didn't go get a win in a game they were close at once again, like we saw last season, for him to basically make that statement about his offensive staff needs to, in this league needs to take more chances or something. I thought it was beneath the position of being the head coach at Nebraska, especially when, to me, the main issues that you had were they can't open field tackle.
No,
Nebraska cannot tackle in the open field.
Against Northwestern.
Against
Northwestern.
Northwestern.
500 total yards against Northwestern. And you want to sit here and blame your offense? And Casey Thompson looked great until he started getting touched a little bit. Once he started getting on the ground a little bit, he wasn't making the same throws that he was making the entire game. But if you give up 500 yards to Northwestern, you're going to sit here and talk to me about the offense? Dude's a joke, man.
Yep.
He's not your knight in shining armor. Let's get him out.
Well, I was more worried about what he said after the game, kind of, like you said, not taking responsibility. No, you're 15-30 at Nebraska. Like this is your fault. And it just goes back. You look, Nebraska, I think, could win like 50, 55 games in a row, the next 55, and he still would have a worse record than Bo Pelini. I think that you better beat Oklahoma. You better beat Oklahoma.
Okay.
You got him in a couple weeks. Mm-hmm. That's really your saving grace. You lose that one, I think you're going to see the momentum continue to kind of free fall. But look, it's the same with Nebraska, man. It's sad to see. And you know what, Blaine? Me and you were talking at halftime. It's amazing when Northwestern stopped blitzing from depth. When you don't have fast players, don't blitz from depth. Yeah. They were trying to blitz from depth, zone blitz. They were never getting there. They were getting picked up, and that takes another guy out of coverage. Second half, what do? Walk some guys down, don't blitz from depth, and you get there, and you start putting some pressure on Casey Thompson. But Casey Thompson's not the reason they lost this game. No. Watch this play. They're down 17-14, third and 8. This was such a huge momentum changer. This is also the longest play I've ever seen. You can't let him break contain, number 90. And this shows you 97, not super athletic. But this is a hell of a play.
Wow.
He just basically went high school, closed his eyes, and threw it deep after everything scrambled down.
On 3rd and 8, when you needed it most, too.
How about that? How about that fumble call?
That ball was a fumble. That was a fumble.
I don't think so.
I thought it was a fumble.
I don't think so.
I thought the ball was
when
out.
he punched it moved.
Yeah,
I definitely didn't think there was enough.
You talking about down near the goal line for Nebraska?
Yeah. No. I definitely don't think there's.
You can clearly see his knee down, and he still has control.
Well, that call
it was ripped out on the rollover.
That was one of those calls where it was, and they even went to Mike Pereira, and he was like, I think it's not a fumble, but he's 0 for 1 already, but leave it to a ref to be wrong.
See, I think the review team's 0 for 1.
Well. Again, when you look at it, though, that ball looked like it was moving. To me, that call was going to be what it was made on the field because it was so close. And in that situation, especially with me having Northwestern plus 12, I was pretty excited about it because it could have gone downhill after that because they were losing momentum pretty hard. Blaine, one from the Booster Club.
Okay, hold on. Robert Walker says, was Helinski at Nebraska?
South Carolina.
He said, Helinski's a really good quarterback. We had him as a freshman. Bobo ran him off.
No, so he had the brother who passed away last year, a couple of years ago. I believe he was South Carolina transfer. I was in that battle with Zeb Nolan, the infamous GA over there before Spencer Rattler came over. But no, Helinski's a good player. But Helinski isn't a guy that is going to go out there and torch you with pure athleticism. He's not going to run around and make crazy plays. He's going to make the right play. And if he has time, he made the right play time and time again. I love the Hall kid at running back that Northwestern has, the former wrestler. He's sneaky, those jitterbug guys.
Great vision.
He's strong down low, got a good core as well, you could tell, and ran heavy with the ball. But, man, you go back to Nebraska, I don't think they scored a point in the fourth quarter. I don't think they scored one. It just blows and I hate it for Nebraska fans. I hate it.
Yeah, I do too. All right, my worst is back to the NFL. It sounds like Washington running back Brian Robinson was shot multiple times during a carjacking. He's been hospitalized, but with non-life-threatening injury. Sounds like Ron Rivera stopped by. He's going to be all right. We'll keep tracking the situation.
For sure. Look, and again, you've heard people talk about fantasy football and this. Like who cares? That the young man just be okay. Mm-hmm. It's good to see he's in stable condition from what we've seen. He's got a very bright future ahead of him. It just goes to show you, man, nowadays, just society's crazy. Carjackings are up everywhere. You look at some of these cities and it's up 130%. Shows you they can get anybody. It doesn't matter if you're big name, rookie, high profile running back in a city that needs their football team to go good. It doesn't matter. So you just got to be careful.
All right, Blaine?
Mine's Wyoming. I took the over in the Illinois-Wyoming game, and I knew Wyoming.
I hit late.
Yeah, I knew Wyoming wasn't as good as a team as Illinois, but there's nothing more that frustrates me is watching a football game and a team so stuck in their identity they don't do what they need to do to win. Wyoming had 5 passing yards at halftime.
They didn't convert their first third down until 5 minutes left to go in the game.
They had 5 passing yards at halftime, and I understand you're a running team, but sooner or later you have to change to win a game, and they did the exact same thing for 4 quarters. Did nothing really different, didn't go outside of their comfort zone to win the game. And Illinois, I don't think I've never seen so many check down passes in 4 quarters than this DeVito kid did for Illinois.
Yeah.
Check down.
Which is already so much better than the passing game they had last year at Illinois.
For sure.
And I'll tell you this, McCray and Chase Brown, that's a nice little 1-2 punch there. McCray from Enterprise, Alabama as well.
I was just disappointed in Wyoming. I was just disappointed in the coaching didn't go outside of their comfort zone to do what they need to try to do to win the game.
Is Illinois that team that's going to, like, cover?
I don't believe in DeVito. I don't believe in that kid that much.
Well, their roster's better than it was last year.
For sure.
I know they don't have the jumbo offensive lineman like you normally see with Bielema.
Look it up.
We need to look it up. But I'm telling you, man, they play Indiana, I believe, next. It's next weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Little Spider-Man GIF. That's a big game for each one of those teams.
It is.
Indiana trying to come off an absolute disaster.
It is.
But I'm so excited to get Matt Moscona in here. Going to talk some LSU, FSU. Obviously going to ask him about the Notre Dame situation from last week. But if you want to watch the rest of this episode, remember, you can listen if you keep it here. Find us on Apple, Spotify. We've got an unbelievable Sunday recap show that's coming up starting this next weekend after week 1 when we really know that's not week 1. So make sure you check out, subscribe, hit that like button as well. College football's back, baby. Football's back in general. The NFL's about to be here. We're going to hit the Booster Club right when we come back. All right, everybody, welcome back. If you hadn't hit that like button, hit it. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on that bell so it notifies you every time we have some content dropping. And boys, we got a lot that's going to be dropping with a crazy week. I do want to go back to the greatest grassroots movement since the Renaissance. That is the Booster Club. Blaine, what's going on over there?
All right, the total wins for Illinois is 4.5.
Wow.
I have their schedule pulled up if y'all want to go through
Let's go through it.
So you
already got a dub.
You got a dub week 1 against Wyoming. Go to Indiana.
I'm going to give them a win.
Yeah, win that game.
I do.
You got Virginia at home, week 3.
Brendan Armstrong, man. Tony Elliott.
Give me Illinois.
They play them at home?
I think
I'm going to take Illinois.
I think they're more physical than them.
Okay, I like that.
Chattanooga.
Win.
At home.
Win.
Go to Wisconsin.
Loss.
Yeah, Iowa at home.
That's going to be interesting, man. If that Ferment's offense is still basically an etch-a-sketch in a kindergarten classroom, who knows?
Minnesota at home.
Give me a win. There it is.
Who? You go to Nebraska.
Is that the one where they lose and Frost gets fired? Is that the one?
Like, I don't know.
Is that the one? That smells like the one. Like you know what? Like you win a couple of these that you should. I think you got North Dakota and then Georgia Southern. Your boy Clay Helton over there, leaving USC, going to Statesboro.
The Eagles are coming to town.
Man.
The Eagles are coming to Lincoln now.
Then they play Oklahoma close and lose. Is Illinois the one they lose at home that they fire Scott on?
Maybe.
Man, the Spidey senses are swinging around.
You're Toby Maguire right now?
I'm Toby Maguire so hard right now.
All right. Excuse me. Cap for life. Good morning, Ted Lasso and crew. What's up, my guy?
Nice.
Always remember that insane people are the most influential. Look at Elon, look at Einstein, and look at Belichick. Harbaugh is a genius. Don't overthink it.
We'll win championships, and we'll be on board with whatever you do.
You beat Ohio State for the first time since the dinosaurs went extinct.
Like if y'all beat Georgia last year by 30 instead of losing to them by 30, and then went on to win the national title, I'll be like, man, look, start baby cone week 3, start Blaine's mustache week 4. Like
put numbers up.
I got a year of eligibility left. Maybe I can get it done finally. Let's figure it out.
Harbaugh's like the guy who's like, Belichick. Harbaugh's like the guy who's like still has an imaginary friend in high school. Or like grew up and just loved trains.
No, it's like or he's still
like something like that.
Who else loves submarines?
Who
else loves submarines?
Yeah, it's like he's in high school but still has his lunchbox from middle school. It's like he always has to eat the banana
with the peel on it. All right, Midnight Crane to Georgia. Who does Northwestern surprise or upset on their remaining schedule?
Pull it up.
I believe that it's my job to pull up that schedule.
Pull up.
I will. All right. You got Duke at home.
Win.
2. All right. You got Southern Illinois at home.
Salute.
They're going to start 3-0.
You got Miami, Ohio at home.
Miami, Ohio. It's a big, big difference there. The Red Hawks will get shot down.
4-0.
You go to Penn State.
They lose that one. They lose that one.
Yeah. You got Wisconsin at home.
They lose that one.
I don't know, Dave.
That one.
I don't know.
I think
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin's just a better version.
It's in Madison.
I don't know. Northwestern can throw the ball. Graham Mertz last year. You want to talk about forgetting? You want to talk about going Drew Barrymore and getting neuralized? He got both.
Wait,
he got neuralized.
Drew Barrymore got neuralized.
I love it. Now it's combining movies.
Yeah. God, she can't remember anything.
He'll never remember.
Wait, what if Drew Barrymore in 50 First Dates got neuralized and all of a sudden she remembered everything?
Well, you're talking about a reverse neuralization?
Yeah.
I'm talking about, a lot
it's
of
Monday, guys.
Isn't that what's
Monday.
Sequel?
Yeah. Who knows? You go to Maryland.
Come on, Coach Locke.
You go to Iowa.
Yeah.
Ohio State's going to kill you.
Yeah.
You go to Minnesota. You go to Purdue. And you got Illinois at home.
Man,
we're
That's tough.
we're talking about upset. If there's an upset, maybe Penn State would be the best one if Penn State starts well. But I got Penn State losing to Purdue week 1.
Yeah, and I saw that line at +3 today.
I saw the over-under at 59. Like, I know I took Arkansas on a sharp, one of my 6 bets, -5.5. It's really hard for me not to take the Penn State.
Purdue and Penn State, the over-under's at 59.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. People say, "Oh, well, they got a good D-line." Look, there's gonna be some points in that game.
You think the over's going to hit in that game?
You got the under in that?
Give me the under.
You got the under?
Purdue, Penn State? Yeah. 59.5? Yeah.
Purdue's not stopping anybody, and Aiden O'Connell, that offense is going to score.
No, they won't.
Okay, I don't know.
You lose
that may be
Jahan. You lose Jahan Dotson.
go.
You got quarterback questions. Penn State ain't about to come out there on offense and ball out.
I don't need him to score 60, Wayne. I don't need him to be the Globetrotters. I need him to score 28.
Put everything on the under.
Lose 38-28.
Put everything on the under. Dylan Meadows, Scott Frost is 5-21 in one-score games since he was hired. Time to start saying he's not a good head coach?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and say it.
Would you have
got a losing record in 2 different
countries? Would you have
countries.
fired him after the game?
No.
Yes.
You would have.
I would have, too.
Come back to the
Calculated
state.
tone?
You're talking about
You tarmac
what was the show's name? Ted Lasso. You talking about Ted Lasso situation? Midwestern football coach. You're already overseas. Play soccer.
Yeah. Play soccer. Look, you're not coming back. I can't let you come back.
Both of y'all are firing him.
Not even like your record, like the fact that you gave up 500 total yards to Northwestern tells me what I need to know. Pack your things.
It's not even a tarmac situation. It's an Irish pub situation.
You live there now.
Come here and sit.
Yeah, you live there.
live here. This is your home now.
He's coaching the Irish football.
Did y'all see the Wi-Fi went out of the stadium? And so it was free alcohol?
Yes.
They built the big, the beer like cup line or whatever?
I thought it was brilliant. It was an unbelievable, taking a bad situation and kind of flipping it to make it somewhat positive. That catering company, whoever, I promise you, they're gonna end up making money off.
I love Will Compton said yesterday, American football games lost on foreign soil don't count as lost.
Oh, yes, they do. Oh, Will, yes, they do. Believe me, to every Nebraska fan, and I had some on social media that sent me messages, and they're just like, I can't do this anymore. You know it's bad when you don't know it's either that or like some sort of like therapy session, which is basically what that is. Like when you get the, I can't do this anymore, or why does this keep happening to me, or make it make sense. It just, man, I hate it for that fan base. But look, Scott Frost, unless he just you got to beat Oklahoma. You got to beat Oklahoma. I'm just telling you. They dropped the ball again.
That brings me to Travis Elrod. Is beating Oklahoma the only way Scott Frost keeps his job?
I think so. Because if you lose that one.
That and you, I mean, that
it's the
and
way
what?
you lose. It's the way you lose matters. It's one thing to get just drugged, right? It's one thing to lose by 30. But you're up 11 in a game that's been tight. Nobody can really break through. And you come out and you call the onside kick. And listen, I'll be the first one to stand up here and say, look, scared money don't make no money. But there's also levels to it. There's also time and score. There's also being not stupid, but being cavalier.
You just got the momentum. And your defense hasn't proven they can stop or tackle anyone. Don't give them the ball at midfield.
You have 2 scores, second half. And you just put them on the porch, bang, 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 3 plays later. Now they believe in it.
I know we get it where it's like, okay, well, if they get that onside kick, all of a sudden, okay, now you've taken the momentum you had and you poured gasoline on it, and Scott Frost is the most brilliant coach of all time.
Yeah, well, if
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, well, if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas.
You just can't do that in that situation.
But now nobody in Lincoln's having a Merry Christmas. Christmas is ruined
already. Is Christmas?
Scott Frost just ruined Christmas
already
in
August.
He is the Grinch. Is Scott Frost the Grinch?
I think he just needs to Ted Lasso this thing, man. Just stay over there. You're a soccer coach.
I don't even know if that could help. But I want to go ahead and get this thing to Maddie. You ready?
Oh,
y'all ready for this?
Moscona's in?
This is going to be good.
Sconey's here?
Yes. Moscona, welcome back,
Maddie.
my friend.
It's a football Monday when we're already second-guessing coaches. I love it.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, I mean, Scott Frost, this is really like eighth guessing. I mean, you're 15-30 overall. You have the worst winning percentage in the last 75 years at Nebraska. I mean, man, dude, he's making Bo Pelini look like Bill Belichick out there.
Your boy executes the onside kick at a running back, by the way. How is that the look you wanted? It's not a defensive lineman with big eyes. It's a running back. You kicked it right to a running back.
Yeah, it's like on the water boy when he's about to kick the onside kick and he's looking and everybody looks calm and the one guy's like freaking out. He, just absolutely has no ball skills. But I want to get into kind of, some week zero impressions from you, Maddie, just from which I hate that term. But before we get into that, Florida State LSU preview. Obviously, last week, Brian Driscoll from Irish Breakdown had some choice words about Brian Kelly. I know you saw that. I want to give you the floor here, Mr. Moscona, and let you respond.
I'll say this. A bit of context, guys, and I don't know if you all know this about me, but I grew up like a big Notre Dame fan, Catholic, South Louisiana. In 1996, on a Friday after school, my family loaded up the van and drove through the night to South Bend to go to a game at South Bend in Notre Dame Stadium. It was the last year of the Lou Holtz era. They played Air Force. I got to watch the first ever overtime game at Notre Dame Stadium. They lost, by the way. Ron Powlus threw a pick, and then Air Force kicked a field goal. My freshman year of college, I went to Holy Cross in South Bend, so I lived there for a year. I worked out at the Rockney facility. I studied at the Hesburgh Library, which is Touchdown Jesus. I had student tickets to Notre Dame football. So I am very, very, very aware of Notre Dame culture. Okay. I lived it for a year. It is a very different place, specifically to what Brian Driscoll said. And guys, full context, I did not hear your full interview. All I saw was the 60-second clip that y'all posted with Cohn's question, his response. The thing where I think he missed the mark, and again, I'm just going off a 60-second clip. In one breath, he said Brian Kelly won't win a championship because he won't recruit at the level needed. And then the next breath said the problem at Notre Dame wasn't talent, it was lack of big game production, that Brian Kelly didn't coach up the talent in the big games. Well, that's a massive contradiction, or I'm to believe it's easier to recruit at Notre Dame than it is at LSU, which is a fundamental absurdity. LSU posted a picture yesterday. I don't know if y'all saw it. It was the football players on the LSU team that are from Louisiana. There are 59 of them. 59. There are 8 players on Notre Dame's roster from Indiana. Guys, presently in the 247 composite, use whatever rankings you want, there are 3 top 300 players from the state of Indiana. There are 16 from Louisiana. There's more top 100 players in Louisiana. There's more top 50 players in Louisiana than there are top 300 players in the state of Indiana. There is a fundamental truth about LSU, and Nick Saban proved it when he came here in 2000 and he won a national championship in 2003. If you put a fence around the state, if you get the best players to stay home, you can win at the highest level. Les Miles did it. Ed Ogeron did it. And now the onus is on Brian Kelly to do it. And the thing that he did, which was very self-aware, which, again, I don't know what he did at Notre Dame. I don't know what his recruiting staff looked like. I don't know. I'd lean on the Irish guys to know that. But the one thing Brian Kelly did when he was hired that was very self-aware is he assembled a staff of people that know how to recruit the state, that have deep, deep roots in Louisiana. Frank Wilson is New Orleans high school royalty. Cortez Hankton, who was the receiver coach at Georgia last year, is from New Orleans. Joe Sloan, his quarterback's coach, was at Louisiana Tech, whose recruiting territory was Baton Rouge and New Orleans. He retained offensive line coach Brad Davis, who's from Baton Rouge. Guys, he built a staff of dudes that know this state and are deeply rooted in the high school football coaching culture that are going to be able to get those players to stay home. He's already doing it. So I think there's also truth, and I know I'm taking up the whole time, sorry about that, but there's some truth to be told also, whether one acknowledges or not, in sort of like the jilted lover syndrome. I mean, Notre Dame people aren't going to be cheering for Brian Kelly. It's like when if your significant other breaks up with you, like you want to do better than them. You know, you're a little you're a little hurt, and you want to do better with your next boo than they do. So, I mean, I get the feel and the emotion, all that stuff, but it's also super naive to look at all of the resources at LSU and assume that a coach of Brian Kelly's caliber isn't going to be able to win at the highest level when we've seen Les Miles and Ed Ogeron do it, guys.
Yeah, no, that was my question. I mean, it's easier at LSU, as crazy as that sounds, even though they're in the SEC West with Alabama. That state is saturated as it is. And hearing you say the word boo, Matt, I mean, I had totally comprehended everything you said. And then right when you said that, speaking of neuralized, it neuralized me. But, Coney, what do you got?
Well, we got our first look at Florida State this weekend. I saw you tweeting some things about the offensive line and the defense. What I want to know is there a position group that Florida State has the advantage over LSU going into week one?
Did I use boo correctly, by the way?
You did. Like, you're basically Chris Brown now.
Cool. I'm just trying to get.
Just keep your hands to yourself.
You know,
I changed my question. What's your favorite Chris Brown song?
Can I go with Chris Brown, Jordan Sparks, No Air?
Oh,
great song. Or does that just take my level way back down?
No. Like the speed in which you just answered that is equal parts shocking and somewhat horrifying.
Fantastic.
But if I told you it was the only Chris Brown song that I know,
I would believe you 100%, or would I?
More than me, for sure. But no, I mean, do you think Florida State has an advantage at any position group over LSU?
I think these two teams are mirror images. I think Florida State's running back room is deeper. The three guys that they rolled through were really impressive. But, I think if you would have asked me last week, and I honestly just talking to all the Florida State guys, their offensive line was kind of a big question. And, boy, they played bully ball against Duquesne. I mean, they ran it, I think, over 50 times in the ball game for 400 yards, average 7 yards a pop. The big question is, will they be able to do that against LSU? Guys, that's the game. And, I don't know that I saw anything from Jordan Travis and those receivers that leads me to believe they're going to be able to make plays in the passing game consistently. So are they going to be able to line it up and run it 50 times against LSU, where the strength is LSU's defensive front? I don't think so. But if you flip that, I think LSU is going to have trouble blocking Florida State's defensive front too. So I think whichever offensive line holds up is the one that's going to win this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, too, when I was watching that game, and look, Duquesne, we know, do they have the best players ever?
For
no,
sure.
But, I want one of those guys defending me in the court of law if something goes down. The Jordan Travis comment, Matt, I'm with you. I watched him. We know what type of player he is. I just think we know his ceiling. Like I didn't see anything in the past game that you mentioned that was like, wow, Jordan Travis has really put it together. He's going to be a huge problem. To me, you have got to make that guy beat you through the air. When you look, Scone, at the matchup, and we talk about up front, even if it was a stalemate, what is one thing that you want to see from this LSU offense that has Boutte, that has Besh, that has a running back room that is more talented? Is this a game where LSU is going to be able to beat them with explosive plays? Are they going to have to be somewhat methodical going down the field, even with Jaden Daniels being somewhat of a dual threat guy?
Yeah, they may have to do it with explosive plays. What do I want to see? The first part of your question, I want to see LSU run the ball successfully. I don't know if they can. I mean, I think that is the strength of Florida State's defense. They return those two big interior tackles. They replace the ends, but the guys they have look really good. I know they got Verse, the transfer who came up with a big TFL or sack on Saturday. But I think LSU is going to be able to make explosive plays in the passing game. That's just the strength of this football team. There's going to be a time where someone can't run with Kayshon Boutte. They give, if it's Daniels, if it's Nussmeier, enough time to be upright, he's going to hit him. He's going to make the big play. I mean, Boutte did the same thing last year against UCLA, where Max Johnson, if you remember, infamously threw a pass with his back to the line of scrimmage in that game. That's how much duress he was under that whole game. So, I mean, LSU's going to make plays throwing the ball. I don't doubt that at all. I don't know if they're going to be able to establish the line, chew clock if they need to. But that's what I'm hoping to see. I'm hoping that the running backs that they do have, a big offensive line, they're able to move some bodies and get some yards on the ground.
Yeah. You mentioned Max Johnson's name. You and I both think highly of the kid. He's at Texas A&M now, and now Jimbo Fisher has named Haynes King the starting quarterback. Obviously, LSU finishes at Texas A&M this season. How do you think this will play out this season, Matt? Is Max Johnson going to be involved, and if so, how early?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know everything about A&M's offense, right? But I would be very surprised if you have a quarterback battle that goes this deep into camp, right, to the week of the game. Mm-hmm. At some point, every team at some point is going to hit speed bumps. You're going to face adversity. Your offense is going to get stuck in the mud. At some point, they're going to look over their shoulder and they're going to put Max in the game. Guys, honestly, I would suggest that even though Haynes King is going to take the first snap, look at A&M's first two games. They play Sam Houston State and help me, I don't remember who the other one is, but it's another layup. If you know it.
Yeah, I got it. Hold on.
Right now.
Pulling it up.
It doesn't matter. They're basically playing two rental wins.
App State.
Yeah.
App State. Okay, so they're playing two rental wins. Both quarterbacks are going to play. Like both quarterbacks are going to play in those two games. And then week 3, they're hosting Miami. Yep. So really, they can extend this another couple of weeks to know. I will tell you, I'm more bullish on Max Johnson, I think, than most. And I think he would be more than serviceable for them. I think Haynes King's probably a little better athlete. If that's what Jimbo wants, okay. But yeah, I'd be surprised if we didn't see a lot of Max Johnson this year.
Yep, I'm with you. Plano?
I mean, Matt, what's up? First of all, I have a real simple question. Hey, LSU minus 2.5 right now. Does LSU cover versus Florida State?
Ooh, look at it.
So first of all, for my guy.
Oh, God.
Take the Yankees.
Illusion.
I knew it was on Monday,
at what point?
No air, but Jordan Sparks.
Cut the feed.
Now you're putting the Yankees. I gotta love you, man.
Hey, look. I mean, the last time I was here, Blaine, you know what they asked me? Are the Yankees dead? You know what I said? No, the Yankees aren't dead. Yeah, like 86 more games. What are you talking about? Are they
well, I mean,
dead?
they've got swept the Mets. They've got 5 hits in their last 19 innings.
Swept the Mets.
They sweep the Mets. They go score 13.
Thank you. Thank you, Matt, by the way. We really, as Braves fans, we appreciate you guys doing that. And, of course, we didn't take advantage last night, but that's why you got the Rockies coming to town for a 3-game set. Come on, let's go. Together, let's do it, guys.
Let's go.
What did you ask me, Blaine?
Does LSU cover? I've seen minus 2.5, minus 3. What are you thinking? I want an honest opinion here.
I think it's a game in the 20s, and I think LSU wins a close one. I think I said something like 27-24, 27.
That's a cover.
Yes.
There's no way, Matt. I'm just looking at it, man. There's no way with Florida State having the roster they have, you're coming to New Orleans to play the game. There's no way LSU doesn't win that game by a field goal or more. That may be jinxing it.
Yeah, that's like the definition.
No. I'm just telling you, there is no way.
Okay. 2.5 was the exact line of the UCLA game last
LSU doesn't
year.
win that game by 3 or more. Yeah. I'm not picking it yet. But
I'll tell you this. You know what? Whenever there's a close game, I lean on 3 criteria. This is just me. I go quarterback, coach, venue.
Quarterback, coach, venue?
Yes.
Venue?
And a year ago against UCLA, Dorian Thompson-Robinson or Max Johnson, we should have given the edge to DTR. Chip Kelly or Ed Ogeron, obvious. And they played the game at the Rose Bowl, and UCLA had a week 0 game against Hawaii.
Yep.
That was all of us giving LSU a pass for 2020 because of the COVID year and everything, and not realizing the flaws that
Me
existed.
included. Yep.
We're all in that boat. I think considering what they did in 2019, 2020 felt like a one-off. But what 21 proved was that's just what Ed Ogeron was. 2019 was the one-off. But I look at this game and I go, Brian Kelly or Mike Norvell, give me Brian Kelly. I think quarterbacks are probably a push. It's really hard to differentiate at this point. And then venue, they're playing that in New Orleans. It's a de facto home game for LSU. So I like LSU in a close game. Look, man, there's LSU fans right now who are picking this thing like 48-17. I'm like, y'all are hot. But I do think a little more disciplined LSU team, probably a little bit more talented roster in that venue. I do think LSU finds a way to win. And one more factor, guys. Remember, Brian Kelly last year at Notre Dame opened up against Florida State. So he's very familiar with Norvell, with that talent, with that squad. Like he coached against them a year ago. So I think maybe that's maybe a little, if you're looking for one more little factor that may weigh in, he's got a game plan against these guys.
Deep dive.
Blaine, Booster Club, any questions for Matt?
Yeah, Carson Everett wants to know what games are a must-win for Brian Kelly in his first year.
All of them.
So listen, I'll put it to you this way. When I hate the term must win, because when you say must win, it means there's consequences there are no consequences year one for Brian Kelly if he doesn't win. For the season he'd like to have, I think you need to beat the Mississippi schools at home. You got to beat Ole Miss and you got to beat Mississippi State in your building, if for nothing else, just to maintain order in the SEC West.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. Well, Matty, we appreciate you, my friend. After further review, great stuff. Tell everybody else where they can find your content.
If you could spell my name, you can find me. Moscona. I'm on all the socials, ESPN, radio stations all throughout Louisiana, YouTube, everywhere. So always appreciate you fellas.
Hey, you too, my friend.
You're the best, man.
Yeah, we'll
Go
talk
Yankees,
next week.
Matt.
Gonna be interested to watch your boys.
Put it on, baby.
Wow, you just verbally
we
committed
gotta get
to
Matt
the
on here
Yankees.
more.
Yeah.
Maybe.
You know what?
Matt's been on the last 3 weeks,
We
man.
should get him on maybe.
Yeah. Come on every day, Matt. Every day.
Appreciate it, my friend.
Part of Crane and Company. New
That's
co-host.
exactly right. Yeah. Our new Yankees correspondent, Matt Moscona. All right, holler at you. All right, Kona, I do want to get into our fantasy tip of the day.
Fantasy.
You ready to do it?
Wide
say one thing real
receiver
quick?
sleeper.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Lifetime looking up Cone. He says Cone knows better than call App State an easy win.
I didn't. He did. He said, who do they play second? It's an easy win. And I looked at the schedule and said it's App State, but I couldn't jump in there and say.
Do you remember last year when I
stars.
said that App State was going to beat Miami by a field goal?
Yeah.
And they almost
They
did.
almost
Literally,
did.
like, even though Miami won barely, all the Miami fans were like, listen. Like,
And
that was a
had
great call.
Appalachian State beaten Miami, like you called, no one would have talked about it after that. No one would have talked about it. You know,
Nope.
Georgia Southern beats Florida. No one talks about it. But you go beat Michigan. We'll talk about it every year on opening kickoff.
You know, a lot of people say
because
that-
that's the greatness of
A
Michigan.
lot of people say it was your fault. I do want to make this point, too.
I was on the team, so partly.
It's just your fault.
I'll take
It's your
partly.
fault. It's David's
I
fault.
can't celebrate going to the Rose Bowl unless I take responsibility for the
That's so
losses,
true.
too.
Also, by the way, Brew McCoy getting eligible for Tennessee is massive. They got
Huge.
somebody now on the opposite side of Cedric Tillman, take a little pressure off him. Big for Heupel and them. I'm glad the kid's going to get to play. But, all right.
Nice.
So, here's what I got. Fantasy wide receiver sleepers, right? By the way, did the fantasy draft last night with the group I'm in.
Did 6 mock drafts last night.
Feel great about it. Tom at quarterback, Zeke and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Debo Samuel, Devontae Adams,
Yeah?
George Kittle.
How you feeling about it?
Who's in your league?
It was, dude, that's a
a bunch
12-team
of
league.
8-year-olds?
I had the last pick, so I had the 12th and 13th pick. So I took Devontae Adams and Debo Samuel back-to-back. Like Drake, back-to-back. So here's what I got, my 3 fantasy wide receiver sleepers. Number 1, Alan Lazar, the Wizard. The Wizard. Lazar, the Wizard. What movie is that from?
Your Highness?
Your Highness.
Yeah, he
It's
makes the
Lazar,
fish
Wizard.
sticks. Like-
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Devontae Adams is obviously gone.
Yep.
The Packers got nobody at wide receiver outside of, Christian Watson, some guys that their time's not coming. You got Tiny on the inside. Lazard's your big target, especially in the red zone. Give me Alan Lazard. Also, George Pickens. Why not? Maybe the best receiver on the Steelers.
Probably is.
You winning the starting job, going and balling, pushing NFL DBs down like it's the dad versus son basketball game. And then Rashad Bateman. All right?
Rashad's nice to
Ravens,
sleep.
Hollywood Brown's gone. We know Mark Andrews is a big-time tight end. They're going to find him in the seam. Now he's got a chance to be a guy that can get a lot of catches, especially when you get closer to the end zone. Going to give him a shot. Lamar Jackson, we know he's a witch with the ball in his hands. Find Rashad. I'm loving those 3. So, that's how I live my life.
The thing about Bateman that scares me is just every time they're in the red zone, it's going to Mark Andrews. It doesn't matter if he's triple covered.
But you know that. I know that.
They're
They're gonna-
smart. But Rashard is a sleeper. All right, my first one is Sky Moore with the Chiefs.
Okay.
You believe?
Yeah, I believe. One, you lose Tyreek Hill. Sky Moore is a, kind of a quick guy like that. And Juju's also going through some knee problems right now. So that's somewhat big. I think Sky Moore can be an option for them. Kind of a second to third option. Travis Kelce obviously is the first option. But the Juju will be that second option. But if his knees are hurt, all right, then Sky might slide into that second option. Then my second one's Elijah Moore with the Jets. And I know Zach Wilson's kind of having a knee thing, but Elijah is a extremely good overall wide receiver. I mean, you saw what he did somewhat last year, but Zach Wilson got to get healthy, and then we'll see. As long as Joe Flacco's not in there, I feel good about a lot of things. And Rondell Moore for the Cardinals. D-Hop's out for at least 6 games. Rondell Moore is an absolute witch.
He was so nasty at Purdue.
He did things that,
he did things to Ohio State.
He was the best player on the field, like, regardless of who he played. Like, he did some things I'd go sit down and think about myself.
Yeah.
My football career, really how bad I was. But he's going to be guys who can get a lot of looks because Hop's out. I mean, they don't have just phenomenal receivers running around, but he can get carries, too, out of the backfield, jet sweeps, PPR, swing passes. The kid will get you points. So those are my 3 sleepers.
Okay, I like those. Look, I'm going to go with a name that we know, but just in terms of value, could be a sleeper, and that's Devontae Parker. Just because I think the Patriots are going to Mac Jones is going to be throwing the ball better this year. Could be a year 2 breakout, and he is a true X. I mean, what is he? 215, 6'2", 6'3", something like that. He is a true X receiver, and I think his ADP right now is like 148 overall. So I'm talking about late round where you can get someone who you know could catch 6 or 7 touchdowns this season for a lot of value very late. All right, you were talking about Allen Lazard, obviously stepping up into that number 1 role for the Packers. His ADP for wide receivers right now is 42. Just 2 spots behind him is the rookie Chris Olave in New Orleans. Well, I think Michael Thomas is going to come back and have a very strong year this season, but Jameis Winston's going to be spreading the ball around a lot. I think Chris Olave is a good wide receiver breakout pick if you're looking for one of those mid-round picks. And then, let's see here. I want to go down. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I like it. Tyler Boyd's another guy to keep an eye on, too. Obviously, Jamar Chase is going to get a lot of love. Receiver. Tyler's been, had a really good career. He's another guy that's kind of sneaky.
And my third one here is a little bit more risky. Just because I don't know exactly how good the Texans' offense is going to be. But Nico Collins, we're talking about big wide receivers playing true X position. I saw this guy do a lot of great things at Michigan. I think that he's going to step in, especially with the Mechie news that we heard earlier in the summer. He's going to step in and is going to be a big part of the offense. It's a big wide receiver. Can Davis Mills actually get him the ball? Will they protect Davis Mills enough for him to be a weapon? I'm not sure. But again, we're talking about late round value here. After you've already gotten those tier 1, tier 2 wide receivers, maybe look at Nico Collins.
Jahan Dotson for the Commanders.
Jahan Dotson,
He's my favorite.
There's so much like even young receiver talent.
The depth
late in a draft that you could really pick up and like help your team. So like that's don't rush to pick a quarterback. Let
me ask a few questions here. What about right now? Odell Beckham Jr. is ADP 80 for wide receivers. I mean, is he worth
extremely late?
Huh?
Coming off the knee injury, like you got to get.
That's what I'm saying. Julio Jones in the same situation. I mean, is that a round 14 or 15 type pick for one of those guys?
I would say Julio before Odell. Probably a good amount of rounds.
Or are you just going to stay away from both those guys?
I'm staying away from both. I'd rather take a flyer on a young guy.
On a young guy?
I'd rather take
I kind of agree with that.
Are we saying picking between a young guy or?
Not necessarily. I just mean both of those are interesting stories. When you see Odell Beckham Jr. that low, Matt Stafford's going to be.
I would rather get McCole Hardman before.
For sure, but if it's that late in the draft and it's almost falling into your lap, I don't think Odell or Julio would be a bad pickup. One, because he's a quarterback for the Bucs.
Exactly.
Right, Tom Brady, and Odell's a free agent right now, correct?
Yep.
So he's not even. Okay.
Yeah, you don't even know Odell where he's going to end up if he ends up with a good quarterback somewhere. I mean, a healthy Odell's a good Odell, but we have to see he's gone through a lot of injuries. But still, if they fall into your lap late, why not?
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to head over to the board of truth, love, life, loss, friends, enemies, and that person you used to know. But we are going to talk about TJ Finley winning the starting job for Auburn because it's going to take 30 seconds tomorrow. But this weekend, guys, 15-10 overall in college football bets. Excited. That was a good start. Everybody was in the green. For sure, we're going to see the graphic from Cody Nason to see where we're at. But let's just put it this way. It's tight, okay? Choi, like a toy guy. All right, so I'm 28-23 overall. Blaine, while he is 22,
that's a lie.
Hit that 1100 bet. Remember, we do units plus 30, wins 31. Equals final score. Here's what I got tonight. Give me the Phillies, Diamondbacks, Nerfy, -110. Come on, guys. Let's just figure it out. First inning, everybody's getting used to it. A lot of stuff going on geopolitically right now. Let's be together, score runs in the second inning. All right, then give me the Twins, -1.5. Going off at +140. All right, the Bello guy from the Red Sox has basically been putting it on a tee for anybody with a bat and a dream. this season. So give me the Twins at home. I think Bundy's on the mound, not Ted, thank goodness. Dylan Bundy's on the mound for the Twins. Give me -1.5. That's a dog
Ted was
bet.
extremely good at what he did, let's be honest.
Well, I don't know what I'm not going to say anything about that. I'm just going to throw it over to Cone.
All right. I want the Dodgers, Marlins, Nerfy at -160. Got Tony Gonsolin on the mound. What is he, 15-1 now?
16-1, I believe.
16
The
and
Gonsolin
1.
sounds like an old instrument they played in like the 1600s. They're like, I've got to run home and get the Gonsolin for Papa.
That is true. That's, yeah, nice. Going up against Pablo Lopez, is that an instrument too?
I think that's a kid off backyard baseball.
Okay.
That is,
Gonsolin
he's
Lopez.
tall.
Let's go Dodgers, Marlins, Nerfy, and then Cardinals in the first 5, -0.5 run at -142 with Miles Mikolas on the mound against Chase Anderson.
I don't know if I've hated anything ever as much as I hate first 5 bets.
Oh, do you?
Really?
I think I missed like the first 3.
You
I
should
ever
take a
did.
couple today.
Yeah, you
No,
should do it.
not.
I'm also taking the Dodgers, Marlins, Nerfy. Why not? Then I'm taking the Padres, Giants, Nerfy, little Rodon, little Clevenger on the mound. I mean, we'll see.
Mikey
We'll
Clevs.
see. We'll see what it comes down to. I got to see the units. You know, do I have to take another deep dive somewhere? You know, in the first pitch.
Why
I'll
don't
do
you
it.
just
You
take
know.
Jose Altuve just first?
Oh, I'm going.
That's the only guy that does it.
Look, you got to remember,
You've hit it twice.
Acuna fouled off the first pitch.
I know
too.
that one would
If I'd hit a
had
plus
to probably
22
drive
unit day, I'd have woke
Yeah, I'd
up
have probably
the air would have just
drove over to
It
your
just
house
would have
without
felt
that.
different, have been lighter.
Do we have any odds on the Brewers -1.5?
Oh, let me look that up. Hold on.
Because he's going to go Dodgers -1.5. That's at a cool -140. But yeah, it's coming down to it. I love the way we did the bets, by the way. And like I said, I'm going to go ahead and take that sharp Arkansas -5.5.
Yeah.
I think it's at -110. I need to look at it. I wonder what the alternate line situation on that while Cone's looking that up. But yes, we are going to talk about TJ Finley and Auburn. We just don't want to talk about everything in one day because we have a huge week coming up.
Do we have a top play?
Yeah, we have a top play.
Bring up this top play here.
Let's bring up the top play, and then we have a top video.
This is Brett Auerbach for the Flying Squirrels.
run
Watch
it.
this play, fellas.
Got a little fly ball
God,
here.
you hung
Catcher's
that.
going to work his way over.
Got
Oh,
it.
hey, dude, he went Assassin's Creed.
Talk about flying
I don't know another way to
squirrels.
explain that other than he just went Assassin's Creed into the net.
Run that back. We got to see that one.
I've never seen a catcher do that before. I've seen guys hold on to the net. Let's run the play again. All right, you got a little curveball, gets underneath it. He is going to run and basically karate jump into the net. Yeah, he caught it. I don't even think he used the net.
I feel like it hit the net.
I don't feel like it did.
Look, there's no caring for the body or the outcome.
Now,
Love
look,
to see it.
that was elite, but our new Hall of Famer, our buddy Revco250, who made that hilarious video. Remember when he dressed up?
Yeah.
Well,
I definitely
a
remember
pastor, but he just made that video. He made another one, and this is the morning routine, Crane and Company style. And notice the math and push-ups. Let's play it.
This is flaming shotgun. This is flaming shotgun. This is flaming.
0-0 mentality.
That geeked me the first time I saw it. This is dedication right here. Got the Crane and Co. merch on. Stick to our
the
helmet.
stickers are not part of the helmet.
Plus or minus square
Gotta
root
love the math and
b
push-ups
squared
right here.
minus 4ac all over 2.
This guy gets it. There's a
Get
reason.
off my lawn.
prime numbers 2,
There's a reason he's jacked and tan.
He is
5,
jelly.
7, 11.
The DW. Look at the sweet baby gang.
There it is.
Bush guy.
Beer and hot dogs.
Wow.
Strong. We could, they're starting to call that the Blaine.
They're calling that the Blaine.
think-
Everybody around the country is.
They're saying that's Jake's morning go-to.
No. Why do you have to flip
A
it back
nice
on me?
glizzy.
Why do you have to flip it back on me?
A nice glizzy
Revco
drink.
outdid himself again.
Outdid himself again.
I'll tell you what.
The dude's the man. All right, so as I said, I'm giving away a piece of free merch every day this week. Gonna announce the winner on Twitter for today's, because the Crane and Company count on Twitter got to 10,000. So I'm gonna randomly use science and math and algebra to be able to figure
You're a
out.
man of the people.
I am a man of the people.
Yes, you
a
are.
true man of the people.
Yes.
Unlike
A true man of the people.
some non-mustached people around here that made
the
some
beard's
comments.
coming
But the
back
thing
in,
about it is,
though.
like, I don't have to convince myself I'm the man of the people. I just ask the people and they tell me they are.
That's not
You
what
put out a
people
poll
have
today by
said.
chance?
Oh, I did.
Yeah?
Should Nebraska fire Scott Frost right now?
Is that today's
right
poll?
now?
Right now.
Right now, yes.
Right now.
I say yes.
Guess what?
Well, yeah. What percent?
Are you saying no?
I'm saying yes, David. What percentage you got?
Yes. 63%.
Yes, 64%. That was a great win.
Yes, 74%.
God, Code, you're
Right now?
throwing games?
You're right now. Get
Are
him
you
out of here.
throwing
Hashtag
games?
Get him out.
I thought maybe there were a lot of Nebraska fans in there today. Maybe they still believe,
No, they're too busy.
Cody Nason says Blaine leads in units, but Jake still holds the lead in adjusted win percentage.
All right, so
What's going on here?
we'll see
28
it.
and
We'll see it on
24.
Twitter.
There's a lot of collusion.
Look,
going
guys,
on.
my goal is just to win you money.
Is Cody in there?
That's my
Cody,
goal.
for sure Cody's in there. I
just said that, yeah.
Couple parting thoughts. FAU started the same quarterback for the second year in a row for the first time in 9 years yesterday with N'Kosi Perry, or Saturday, excuse me. That was a very interesting stat. And the last time that Vanderbilt scored 63 points, Mac Brown was running back on the team.
Wow.
Mac played running back?
Yeah, he was still more athletic than 90% of Vanderbilt's roster. All right, go ahead. Music on real quick. One.
Okay.
I thought you were going to say nice things about Vanderbilt.
Well, yeah.
I did.
Well,
Yeah.
They were my best
It always
week.
just comes back to just putting Vandy expectations.
We got an anchor down
They
from
got
them, and now
They're leading the SEC
Best
right
team
now.
in the SEC right now.
They are.
Best team in the SEC right now. All right, hey, Travis Elrod wants to know, Cone. Let's get emotional right now. All right. If the transfer portal had been available to you, would you have left Michigan when Lloyd Carr left?
Well, it was available to me, and yeah, I thought about leaving every day. The only problem was
without having to sit a year.
that would have made things more interesting. Here was my mindset going into that, though, is when Rich Rodriguez came in, I knew I wasn't going to be the starting quarterback at Michigan, but I had just seen Matt Gutierrez, who backed up Chad Henne, play for the Patriots for like 6 seasons. So I'm thinking, okay, if I'm good enough to make it to the NFL, I can do so while being a backup quarterback at Michigan, one of the few schools where you can do that. And if I'm not good enough, then why would I leave right now when I'm just getting adjusted really to Michigan, and I could potentially be an asset to the team in other ways and have a Michigan degree? Because if I'm not going to go to the NFL, like, it's still the #2 public school in the nation. So that's ultimately why I decided to stay, even though I was thinking every day about transferring, and it was North Carolina was in the lead for me.
Yeah,
About going to
like if a total coaching change for the different system that came in, I hit that portal so fast.
Yeah.
But you're a better man than me, and obviously it worked out. So
Yeah, I've definitely been one of those kids like, oh, you're not starting? I'm like, well, it was good.
it's good to
Coach,
see
I
you.
appreciate it.
That's part of the reason why I get frustrated when I hear like, oh, J.J. McCarthy, who's a young guy, he's just going to bolt after week 2 if he's not the starting quarterback. I mean, either one, you're not better than Cade McNamara, in which case there's no shame in sitting behind him and you can be a 2-year starter after this, or you are better than him and you go win the job.
How much big of a difference is there between Cade McNamara and Stetson Bennett? Stetson's more athletic.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of similarities when you look at
Give me Stetson.
I would
Cade
take
McNamara?
Stetson over him. I would take Stetson over him because he could just run better. But there's a lot of Spider-Man GIF in that one.
Did you put Cade on Georgia last year? Did they win the national championship?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
And put Stetson on Michigan, they get beat just the same.
They put me on Georgia last year. Did we win the national championship?
No, y'all don't win a game, even with that defense.
Really? We don't win a game. Wow. Kevin?
Anyway.
Oh, wow. Okay,
All right, we
cool.
appreciate you guys. Make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe as well. Turn on those notifications.
Anyway.
The Booster Club, appreciate you guys. Matt Moscona, another great show. Got another big-time win tomorrow. Going to be previewing a huge week 1 in college football. More great guests, more great content. See you soon. And like the chances of Vanderbilt winning an SEC game.
Oh.
We're going. Gone.